Today with Epic Adventures, we're going to do a little knot tying, and I would invite you to get a piece of rope. This can be a pretty long rope. You want it a little longer than your arm's length. You can get a shoelace, or you could get a rope that is thin or thick. It just depends on what you would like to practice with. My name is Laura Alexeichik Thayer, and I teach in the Department of Sport, Recreation, and Wellness, and I specialize specifically in the area of outdoor education. I'm also the director of Epic Adventures, which is an experiential program that we have on campus that is available for students and community to participate in a variety of different activities like trips and experiences, canoeing, kayaking, hiking, and camping. And then we also have our ropes course up here on campus. Right here we have the Epic Square. This is new this last year, and we're excited to work with students and give them the opportunity to work with others, challenge themselves independently, and to really push themselves out of their comfort zone. So I have a practice rope here today, and then we'll do a few knots on the longer rope just to show some different uses of what we do. With a long piece of rope, you can do a lot of practice, but the first thing to do is to think about your terminology. So in my left hand, and you could do this either way, I'm going to have my standing end. And so this is typically the side of the rope that you leave put. So it is the rope that you are going to work from. And then you have your working end in my right hand. And so when you have your standing end and your working end, you always know what side of the rope that you are crossing over. So some other terminology is if you just take the two ends and you put them together, like so, you will have at the end a bend in the rope, and this is called a bight. So oftentimes a lot of our rope terminology comes from the sailing world, and sailors would pull the rope, make a bight, and then pull another piece of rope. So that's where that comes from. That is a bight. Versus if you cross over your working end over the standing end, now you have a loop. And so you have a loop and a bight. And that helps us out for some of our terminology when we are working with ropes. Okay, so we have our rope again, and in my right hand I have my working end, and you can see that my standing end is attached to the anchor up above, and so that is a little bit easier to understand the working and the standing end. So I'm always going to be working with my standing end. So the first knot that I'm going to teach you is a figure 8 knot. This looks somewhat like an overhand knot with an added twist. And this is the starter knot for which we really work with a lot of our other knots from. And so if we're attaching someone to the ropes course, or using it to belay at the rock wall, or using it to attach an object to another object, we will use a figure 8. And so you're going to take your working end, and I'm going to twist and make a loop in front, twist and make a loop from behind, and then I'm going to drop my working end back through the first loop, and that creates a figure 8 knot. So again, just like an overhand with an added twist. Okay, so another knot that we use, there's a variety of ways to use the figure 8 knot. The figure 8 as a plain knot can be used with what we would use as a figure 8 follow through. And so that's where, if I have my harness on, I can tie a figure 8 knot. So that's a loop in the front, a loop behind, and then your working end goes back through the loop. There I have my figure 8 knot. I am going to now attach this to my harness or someone else's harness. And what I'm going to do is now I'm just going to trace through the figure 8 knot with my working end. So same thing, I have my standing end, I have my figure 8 knot, and then I have my working end. And like a race car, I'm going to just follow the track that I am going. So as you can see, the track starts, so you're going to start on one side of the knot, and you're going to follow it through. So here you have figure 8 with double lines. And so this is attached to my harness, and this creates what you can see as a bight around my harness. But there's one more thing that we need to do, which is called dress the knot. And that is so that there's not added pressure on any of the rope strands, and it creates unneeded pressure. So you're going to twist some of the rope strands around to make sure that they lie flat next to one another. And I can do that by taking my 2 fingers, and I can follow the rope around, and there's no added twist. And that's called dressing the knot. Okay, so another knot that you can do is a figure 8 on a bight. And this would be where you want to attach something to the bight and then attach it to something else. So I'll show you with a carabiner how that works. So you're going to start with your bight of rope facing up towards your head, so facing upright, and you're going to make a bight of rope, and you're going to just essentially do the same motion you would do for the regular figure 8 knot. So you're going to make a loop in front, you're going to make a loop from behind, and then you're going to pull the bight up through the first loop. You're going to move the strands around to make sure that it's dressed and that it's sitting flat, and then you have a bight of rope. So what you can do is, if you have a lot of people in your group and you want to attach this carabiner to someone's harness, lock that carabiner down, and now you have a figure 8. Essentially, it looks like a figure 8 follow through, but you have attached it to somebody's harness or attached it to an object with a carabiner. All right, another knot that we're going to tie today is called the Bowline Knot, and this is great anchor knot. And so this is a knot that we would use for climbing. You might be attaching this to a tree to provide an anchor system for your rope below to climb. What's great about this knot is that there's no tension on the knot, but it is really important that you do a backup knot for the bowline. So if this was my tree, I'm going to bring my working end around, and I'm going to take in my left hand my standing end, and I'm going to make a loop. And I want you to see that this loop goes over top of my standing end. Your working end is going to go up through the loop, around the back, and it's going to go back down through the loop. And you're going to grab both of your working ends and grab the standing end and pull it tight. That is your bowline. A bowline needs a backup knot, and so to do your backup knot, you're going to take your working end and you're going to go around once, twice, and then back through underneath those 2 loops and pull tight. Now you have your bowline and a backup knot. Epic Adventures is an intentional community-focused program on campus. EPIC stands for Experiential Programs and Intentional Community, and one of the symbols and the logo that we have is the flying V of geese. One of the things about that is that there are a number of things that we've learned about the flying V of geese, that they don't leave one another behind, that they utilize each other's flight patterns to help each other with a lift, and that they work together as a group. And so one of the things with experiential programming is to challenge students and community, school groups, and other groups that utilize our ropes course and our programs here, is how to work as independent individuals, but also how to work with others within a team or a group, to use each other's strengths and weaknesses to succeed through different challenges. And so Epic Adventures offers quite a lot of options. We work with youth groups, we work with school groups, sports teams, and we work with students to use some of the different elements, such as this one, the Dangle Duo, on our ropes course, to really push students and adults out of their comfort zones to work with one another and to learn a little something about themselves or about others.